Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another webinar by Global Education here. We've got an interesting webinar for you today. I think it's one of our most sought after information, if you can call it that, the Biosciences here. We've got the University of Surrey that's going to be presenting, and we've got the lovely Annie, who you've met before on one of our webinars previously, a couple months ago. Tonight, Annie is the international student recruiter. She'll be talking to you and discussing all the different options and little things that you need to take into consideration as well with making an application to the University of Surrey. Just a little bit of housekeeping for everybody while we get started. My name is George. I work at Global Education. We are a counseling and administration team. We sort of counsel students all the way through the whole process, from applying, not just to your visas, but as well as, pre-arrival and arrival events as well, to make sure that you've got the best start to your new adventure. We've got about 17 students that have signed up, a couple of counselors. I'm just going to give them a couple more seconds to sign on, and then we're going to hand over to Annie.
Fantastic.
And if you want a presentation, then we can.
Thank you so much, George. It's great to be here and see everyone. Okay, I think if you wouldn't mind just stopping sharing your screen for a second, George, and then I'll be able to share mine. Fantastic. There we are. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Lovely. Fantastic.
Good luck, Annie, and everybody. Please put your questions in the chat box and we'll get to them at the end.
Brilliant. And the view's okay. It's kind of coming up as a normal slideshow as you'd expect.
And we can see the back end side.
Like that?
Yeah, easy.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, thank you so much, George, for the warm welcome. As you've heard, my name is Annie and I am based here at the University of Surrey in the UK. I'm the International Recruitment Manager, so I would be your main contact for any queries, both the team at Global, yourselves. You can always get in contact with me, and that's my direct email, which of course we'll share in the chat as well very shortly. So what am I going to talk to you about today? Well, first of all, I thought it'd be helpful to start off with some quite general information about our campus, and then we're going to come on to those study options to talk about our bioscience offering. I know that you'll all be really keen to hear some details about that very shortly. And then our careers and employability. Again, that's something that we take incredibly seriously here at Surrey. We understand that, taking a 3, maybe 4-year degree is a huge investment in your future, and we want to maximize your chances of getting a fantastic job when you graduate. Then we'll be looking at what life is like outside the classroom here at Surrey. So there's lots of studying to be done, lots of hard work, but also a lot of chance to enjoy the rewards of working so hard and being able to meet lots of interesting people during your time here, hopefully making those friends for life and being able to enjoy lots of fun activities too with our sort of sports clubs and societies. And then lastly, I'm going to come on to some important updates, particularly in light of the pandemic, sort of talk to you with some relevant information, particularly if anyone is kind of considering a last minute application for this September, or of course thinking ahead to those future cycles and how everything that's happened over the last year or so might have a knock-on effect for that. So if you've got any questions at any point, please do just pop them in the chat and we can answer all of those at the end. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So where are we in terms of the University of Surrey? Well, we are here, so on this blue logo on your screen here at Guildford, that is the town, and then the area, that slightly large area in which we're based, is called Surrey, hence the name University of Surrey. We are just outside of London. We're outside of London in the sense of kind of visa purposes and costs associated with inside versus outside of London. So even though we benefit from being nice and close to London, it is lower cost in terms of the cost of living. But you can get into the city centre, so into London Waterloo, which is where you've got your South Bank with London Eye and all of those other activities in just over 30 minutes on the fast train, and lots of fast trains every hour. And we're also conveniently located between both Heathrow and Gatwick Airport. So when it comes to that international travel, that's a big tick in the box there. And our public transport links are generally very, very good, low cost and very regular. So it makes it nice and easy to be able to visit other parts of the UK. You know, if you're coming over to Surrey for one of our fantastic bioscience programs, but you're wanting to go up and visit your friends who are studying law in Edinburgh or English in Liverpool, you know, often hop on a train or even, any of the bus routes as well. And you can normally be there in a matter of hours. So we are a campus-based university here in that town centre of Guildford. So just a 10-minute walk from the train station, which is very much the start of the town centre of Guildford, is where you'll find our campus. It's a very secure area. We have 24/7 security, but it's also one of the safest places in the UK. It often has been ranked the third safest town in the UK. And we work really closely with local authorities to ensure that, you know, you don't just feel part of the student community on the campus, but when you're in the town centre, you feel part of that local community too. And in fact, many of our students decide to go and live off campus in their second year and beyond because of that. But you'll see it's a lovely green campus. The lake here is definitely one of my favourite places on the campus, but all of your teaching lab facilities would be here as well. And you'll see that there's the road, which is our bus route, and it's also got a cycle path that conveniently goes from our main Stag Hill campus, which is where the original campus was built. In fact, it was built around the cathedral just here, and that is where you would be graduating after all your hard work, where you'd be able to reap the rewards, as it were. And just about a 15 to 20 minute walk away is our Manor Park campus. Okay, so this is a newer campus of the two. It has lots of accommodation, but we also have accommodation on Stag Hill. And it also has our fantastic sports park. So particularly for those of you who might be interested in the sport and exercise elements of our bioscience offering, you would have chance to look at some of the human movement laboratories that are based here over at the sports park. And similarly, we have our vet school over here as well. So any of you who are interested in veterinary medicine or veterinary bioscience, you may well have a lot of contact actually with our vet school here. And you'll see the bus route continues around both of the campuses and conveniently right back into the town centre. And of course, we've got a supermarket for you to do all of your grocery shopping in between the two as well. So Guildford Town Centre itself is a lovely location in terms of cultural venues. We've got everything that you'd expect, from cinemas, trampoline parks, the little castle, but loads of places to eat and drink, and of course for shopping, for that retail therapy too. And our regular food markets, they take place twice a week, and we have monthly farmers markets too, are an excellent way for you to be able to source local produce, but also, you know, lots of world foods as well, to have that little taste of home that you'd be looking for. And because it's such a busy and vibrant town centre, it often provides lots of great part-time work opportunities. And just to also say that additionally in Guildford, we have a research park, which is home to many companies, some of which have been started by PhD graduates here at the university, so those smaller startup entrepreneurial organisations, and some are, you know, much more extensive companies who actually have their head office based here in Guildford. And because of that, it provides lots of great internships when it comes to research. So one of the big companies on our research park is our Surrey Sleep Centre. So they are currently doing lots of research and would often be looking to employ undergraduate students on a part-time basis for, you know, extra support with any of their experiments, or, you know, even longer term internships, perhaps over the summer, for example, to get slightly more involved in some of their work. But that's just one of many, many examples. So as I say, there's a real buzz about the town. There's lots going on that you can get involved with, and any questions about this, please do just let me know. So what do we offer here at Surrey? Well, in terms of our rankings, in terms of the world rankings, we're typically sort of in that 250 to 300th bracket. We have TEF Gold, which really, you know, goes only a small way to recognising just how hard our academics work in terms of the support they provide, and particularly that one-to-one support. All our academics have set office hours each week, so when you're not hard at work in the lab, you can always just pop into their office, ask them a quick question. If you've had feedback on an assignment and something doesn't quite make sense, or something was brought up in a lecture and you'd like a little bit more discussion or chance to ask some questions, they're always very open to hearing from you and love the opportunity to challenge one another academically. And then when it comes to our rankings, some of our standout subjects really would have to be food science, which I'll come on to very shortly, and hospitality and tourism in particular. So not only first in the UK for hospitality and tourism, but third in the world. So, if you're speaking to any fellow students, any of your friends who are looking to study that subject in particular, Surrey is definitely an excellent choice for that. And we are split into three main faculties here at the university. So Arts and Social Science, which incorporates the School of Hospitality and Tourism. Our Health and Medical Sciences, which is where our wonderful bioscience offering is based, and Engineering and Physical Sciences too. So we do actually offer biomedical engineering here at the University of Surrey, and that would actually fit in between the Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences and Health and Medical, mostly engineering and physical. But again, you'll often find that, when you're working at such a high level with your research, even at an undergraduate stage, there is a lot of crossover between the different faculties and between the academics and their area of expertise too. So what do we offer here in terms of our School of Biosciences? Well, every single bioscience course that we offer here at the University of Surrey is accredited by one institute or another. So in terms of the Royal Society of Biology, our accredited degrees are biochemistry, biological sciences, and microbiology. There we are, sorry about that. And for our Institute of Biomedical Science, that would be biomedical science. So quite a common question that I get asked from students is, well, what exactly is biomedical science? Often it's a very popular option for students who are maybe considering medicine, but either don't want to have quite such a patient-facing role, or really enjoy the research side. So would like to be slightly less hands-on in terms of dealing with patients on a daily basis, and would like to be in a hospital environment but work more on the research. So a good example I'd like to give in terms of what a biomedical scientist would do is, say you go to the hospital and you have a biopsy, so a sample of some body tissue, for example, is taken, and potentially they are testing it for signs of certain conditions, and they're wanting to run further tests to then be able to lead to that diagnosis. It would be the biomedical scientist who runs that analysis within the hospital laboratories to be able to lead to that diagnosis. So, it plays such an integral, important role within patient care, but it is not patient facing in the way that a doctor would be. So you have that hospital environment. You would still be working in a great team with lots of colleagues, but your role would be very lab based. So your research would be absolutely paramount to patients being able to receive a diagnosis and then undergo treatment. But your role would more be looking at, for example, samples, or helping maybe more on a pharmaceutical side as well. That could be another option. And then moving on to the food science aspect. So I spoke about this just a moment ago in terms of how highly ranked we are for food science, but we have a few different options. So we have nutrition on its own as a standalone BSc course, or you could combine food science and nutrition. Combining nutrition with food science would incorporate a more significant degree of innovation, in terms of you would be working within our food science laboratories, actually designing products, so thinking about how can you, design things which have as much high energy content, but as low sugar, as low fat as possible, looking at meat alternative products, for example, looking at, specific dietary requirements for people who might have allergies or intolerances, and how you can help to develop food products to best cater for any particular dietary needs. And many of our students, go on to fantastic placements and graduate roles in, some of the really big supermarkets here in the UK, but also the government in terms of our department, working as a civil servant, looking after the agriculture, but also, food standard agency. And so it's a really varied degree and in terms of the career prospects from doing food science and nutrition. And then on the other side of nutrition, we have nutrition and dietetics. So this is a healthcare course. So this is one of the few healthcare courses we offer at Surrey that is open to international students. So you would be conducting NHS placements as part of this course. So it's not a set 1-year placement that you would do as you would on most of the other courses. It would actually be split into 2 3-month placements during the 4-year degree, and upon successful completion of the course you would be registered with the Association of UK Dietitians. So that means that you would be able to achieve professional standards to qualify and work as a dietitian in the UK. Of course, that might be in the NHS, so you might decide to work in the private sector as well. And many of our students do actually work internationally as well with their degree. They take equivalency exams, or actually, the accreditation translates internationally for them to be able to work there. The other accreditation that we have is our sports and exercise science. So earlier on I touched very briefly on the Surrey Sports Park, absolutely fantastic facility. In fact, with the Olympics being open at the moment, not open, it kind of took my mind back to 2012, where our Surrey Sports Park was used as the training pool for all of the swimming athletes here at the London 2012 Olympics. So, I always think if the sports park was good enough for Olympians, it's good enough for me, certainly. So you would not only be able to use those facilities in terms of for all of the sports clubs, for going to the gym, but actually because a lot of very high profile sports clubs come and train at those same facilities, you have a great exposure to the industry and lots of great monitoring equipment, as I mentioned, in terms of those human movement labs that you would be able to use as part of your assignments and teaching. And then lastly, but no means least, our veterinary bioscience programme. So this again, an accredited degree by the Royal Society of Biology. And that means when it's accredited like this, that all of the content has been assessed by that particular body, meets their professional standards. And so that what you're learning is at a really high level, but is also very relevant to what you would need to go on and work in this field. So you're at the cutting edge of what, all of the advancements in terms of making sure that the knowledge is as up to date and is constantly being refreshed through all of the amazing advancements that are taking place in biosciences. But also that you are at the level professionals would expect. And so when you graduate, you not only have your fantastic degree, but you have the stamp of the accreditation, and that really just helps to show to employers that your degree is at an incredibly high level and is very relevant to what they would be looking for. In fact, some roles that you might be applying for in terms of job roles will specify that you need to have studied a particular accreditation for your degree in order to be eligible for the job. And I would say that is particularly the case within nutrition and dietetics and also biomedical sciences as well. Okay, so that is a very quick summary in terms of all of the bioscience programs that we have on offer, but they are incredibly practical courses. You will be spending a lot of time in the labs here. I would say in your first year, at least a quarter of all your time is going to be in the labs, doing those experiments, learning those techniques that you would need. And in terms of the requirements that we're looking for, well, we offer a couple of different options. Okay, so when it comes to applying with your senior certificate, we offer Bachelor of Science programs, and for some of our courses, we offer Master of Science programs as well. So this is an integrated master's. So it's essentially where you apply to do an undergraduate and postgraduate qualification all in one. Okay, so it is quite intensive, and we would be looking for you to have slightly higher grades in order to be eligible for this. So the grades that I've published here are particularly relevant for anyone looking to make an application this September. So now that would be through clearing. If anyone has these grades with the relevant subjects, so physical science, life science, mathematics, that is what we would be looking for in terms of the 6s and the 5s, then it's likely that you would be able to make a very competitive application. For next year, we're likely to have similar entry requirements, but I would say generally, the Master of Science grades are what we would typically look for in a standard year. So there might not be quite the same amount of flexibility. We've tried to offer that extra bit of flexibility this year in light of the pandemic and the understandable impact that will have had on your learning. Just to say that when it comes to the senior certificate, unfortunately, we don't accept life orientation as one of the subjects. So for example, on the screen now, if you're looking to apply for the BSc, so to have 1 6 and 4 5s, that would need to be, 5 subjects without life orientation being accepted as those. So we'd always take your best grades, but not life orientation. And we will offer an IELTS waiver, provided you have taken English as part of your senior certificate. We achieved a C or a 5. And as I say, when it comes to meeting those subject requirements for the bioscience course applications, physical science and life science is what we're looking for there. But yeah, any questions about this, we can come on to it very shortly. But what other factors are there to consider when you're narrowing down your choices of bioscience courses? Well, one thing that I would say is with bioscience courses, because the lab skills are so important, often you will find that particularly within the first year of a degree programme, the modules are quite similar. So across most of our bioscience courses here at the University of Surrey, you will often share lots of modules, which is a great chance to get to know as many people in your cohort as possible, but also to make sure that you have that foundation of knowledge so that when you enter your second year, you're really able to specialise. Okay, and the way in which we help you to do that is to make sure that you have a lot of time in our facilities. So even if we have large cohorts, we have up to a 200-seater lab here, our Innovation for Health laboratory here at the UK. It's one of only 2 labs that are quite that large in the UK. So, a really impressive piece, not just of architecture, but in terms of the technology that is available within the laboratory. And that's what I'm meaning in terms of those facilities. I mean, looking at the module content online, in your course handbooks, seeing how many contact hours you're going to be having, seeing what those learning outcomes are, and then ultimately thinking, okay, well, where am I doing all of this learning? What's the library offering like? Here at Surrey, the library is 24/7. If you're a night owl and you want to do your coursework at 3 AM, you're very welcome to do so. But, thinking about where are you going to be having your smaller seminars? Where are you going to be spending all of that time in your lab? Are you going to have your set locker with all of your PPE equipment in there as well? And then also looking at the research groups. So look at the academics who work for that particular department. What are their areas of specialisation? What are they writing articles about? Maybe they've written some of the core textbooks that you will actually be studying as part of your degree, especially in years 1 and year 2. They might often be at the forefront of their research. And here at Surrey, we have, absolute world-class talent in terms of toxicology, antimicrobial resistance, and so many other factors as well. All of our academic staff have a profile on the website. There'll be a programme leader for each course. So what I would really encourage you to do is to go on to have a look at the programme leader, have a look at some of the academics who teach on that course and think, okay, so what are their areas of research, areas of interest? And when it comes to really thinking about your application, if you're wanting to contact me, contact an academic, we're always really happy to try and facilitate that, because it's a huge decision and we want to make sure that you're aware of everything that's going on here at the university, because of course, even though you'd be coming in at that initial undergraduate level, everything that happens at a higher level at the university in terms of postgraduate tour and postgraduate research students will trickle down and really influence what you are learning on the programme. And in terms of the prestige and the reputation of the department as well, that is absolutely huge. And of course, then that key other part is the application of learning. So making sure with things such as accreditation that what you're learning for those 3-4 years is going to be really relevant to help, so that when you go into the world of work, you've got the knowledge and you can then build those skills to be able to apply it and be really successful in the role that you go into. And there are lots of additional study opportunities here at the university as well. The professional training placements are something that we would offer on every single bioscience course, except for nutrition and dietetics, and that's because there are set hospital placements or community placements within that. But I'll come on to those very, very shortly. And the other thing I would really like to talk about is our Global Graduate Award. So this is a programme that is available to all students. You could do it every single year of your degree, if you so wish. There's no additional costs for the Global Graduate Award. It is a chance to learn a language alongside your degree for free, a couple of hours each week. And when you graduate, that particular language and the particular level that you've achieved will be recognised on your transcript. So maybe you've always wanted to learn Italian or Arabic. We offer 11 different languages, so now is your chance to do it. It's a great skill and a great way to meet people who are not on your degree programme here at the university too. But we also have the Global Graduate Award in Sustainability and Employability. Again, you can get involved in as many or as little as you'd like, and it's just a great way as part of the university's offering to make the most of those opportunities that are available, and to do so in a way that not only boosts you in terms of your skills and your employability, but then translates to additional credits on your degree when you graduate as well. And studying abroad, again, is another fantastic option. In fact, when it comes to employability and careers, being able to say that you've gone abroad or you've worked in a lab just makes you stand out so much in terms of the application. And that leads us quite nicely, actually, onto the careers and employability. So what are these professional training placements that I've been talking about? Well, for the vast majority of our courses, other than nutrition and dietetics, the minimum amount you would need in order to be awarded your Bachelor of Science degree would be 3 years of study. Okay, but the courses have an additional optional professional training year, if you so wish. So this means that you would study for 2 years, then you would have your placement year. So that would actually be your 3rd year, although you're not studying during that year. You're having regular contact with the university and still needing to complete a professional portfolio. But then you come back for your 4th and final year. So it's 3 years of study and essentially 1 year of work. Most of the placements that students go on would be 12 months in duration. But again, it's very flexible. You will have a dedicated placement tutor who will offer you one-to-one support in terms of helping to source those placements and, thinking through what is the most appropriate option for you. And you don't have to stay in the UK for it either. In fact, so obviously there's some really big names here on this slide. GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, a prime example for a company that employs a huge amount of bioscience placement year students every single year. And for those placements, our students do incredibly well because they have so much support here at the university in terms of, helping them to know what to include in order to make a competitive application. But ultimately, you are competing against all students at all universities. However, what we have here at Surrey, because we have been offering placement years for so many years, well over 60 years now, I believe, we have dedicated placement year partnerships whereby the placement year agreement is perhaps just for one or it could be several Surrey only students to go and undertake that placement. And within biosciences, those placement years are research-based lab placements. So they are a fantastic opportunity because it gives you that exposure to what working in a lab would be like, and that's what I'm sure many of you might want to go on to do when you graduate, or even if not, having had 12 months lab experience on your CV is incredible, and really will come as a surprise to a lot of employers to know that you've been able to achieve that experience and to have achieved it internationally as well. So we work with lab partners in Europe, in the States, in Asia, Australia as well. And as I say, you'd find out all about these opportunities from your very first year. You'd be applying for them during your second year, and then you'd go on placement, be able to apply that learning you've achieved in the first 2 years, and then you'll come back for your final year of study. And often, you will have learned all of these additional fantastic lab techniques, or you might have been able to acquire a data set that you want to use as part of your final year research project. So we have over 2,300 placement partners. And the other piece of good news is that the placement year fee is significantly reduced compared to tuition fees. So you don't pay the usual tuition fees for that placement year, you pay £1,850. And our careers and employability team have been recognised for their fantastic support. For the 3rd consecutive year, they've been voted the best university work placement service. And we have a really high employability rate. But actually for bioscience, and in particular microbiology, that is 100% of students who are employed or have gone on to further study. And actually the average starting salary for our bioscience graduates is just under £25,000. So, very good starting salary. And often our students are able to progress very quickly because of that experience that they've built up beforehand, whether that's just been in the classroom or whether that's been on a lab placement as well. So we've covered careers and employability. Let's now move on to what life is like outside the classroom. So in terms of the accommodation that we offer, we are able to guarantee accommodation for new students, and that includes anyone who's planning to make a last-minute clearing application this year as well. We can offer guaranteed accommodation, and it would be on one of our 3 sites. So we've seen our Stag Hill and Manor Park campus. We also have a Hazel Farm campus, which is a purely residential campus, just slightly further away from the main Stag Hill campus, closer to sort of a 30-minute walk. But again, there's a bus route available, and it's more sort of a family feel to it in terms of the accommodation, as it's proper houses rather than flats that you'd be living in there. But we have 6,000 rooms and 4,000 of them are en suite. So, if you'd like your own bathroom, you have a very good chance of being able to secure that. But we do split the accommodation into 7 different bands so that, you can apply for something that not only meets your requirements in terms of the facilities that you're looking for, but also in terms of your price points as well. All of the accommodation is self-catered, which is why being so close to the supermarkets and those fantastic, fruit and veg markets makes it a great place to get your supplies and then come home. And I'm sure if you're able to, cook up just one nice meal for your flatmates, you'll have friends instantly within the first couple of weeks. And when you see the prices online for the accommodation, and that includes everything, obviously, aside from your food. So all of your bills, your Wi-Fi, your insurance is all covered in that weekly rent. And the room is yours for the academic year. So our academic year will run from late September until around mid-June. And if you need to stay over the summer, again, that's something that can be arranged. But during that, approximately 9-month period, the room would be yours. You can stay there over the holiday periods if you so wish. You don't have to move any of your belongings if you do want to go travelling or, go and do any internship work during those times. So this is an example room. So it's sort of our slightly on the more expensive side, an ensuite room, our band D. So it goes from band A, which is the lowest cost option, up to band F, and I'll put the prices on the screen in a moment. You'll see that all of the furniture is provided. You just bring your belongings and of course make it your home for that year. And here is the pricing. So for this current academic year, starting in September, what students will be paying per week. So bands A to C is where you would share a bathroom with potentially one or a few other students, but D to F is an ensuite bathroom. In fact, band F is actually a studio flat, so that is suitable for couples, so that rent could obviously be split between 2 people. Okay, so in terms of when you would apply, again, Global Education can of course support you with this during the application procedure. Typically, if you're thinking about applying for next year or the year beyond, once you've received an offer from Surrey and you've decided if Surrey is definitely where you want to come and if it's going to be your firm choice on UCAS, then that is the best time to make that application. So normally the deadline to do so would be roughly sort of mid to late July. So the deadline for this year for anyone who is holding Surrey as a firm choice passed just over a week ago. However, for anyone who is wanting to make a more last minute application, so through clearing, absolutely fine. We would still gladly welcome you with open arms. You have not missed out. Once you've made your application, hopefully you received your offer. The deadline to apply for accommodation for you will be the 17th of August. Okay, so that is when you'll need to have submitted your application for. And that also applies to anyone this year who's holding Surrey as an insurance choice. If you find out that Surrey becomes your first choice where you're going to be starting in September, again, you'll still be guaranteed accommodation for the whole year. Wonderful. So not only in terms of accommodation, but in terms of your well-being is something that's really, really important to us here at Surrey. So we have lots of different support channels. The picture on the bottom right hand of your screen at the moment is our My Surrey Hive. So this is open every single day of the year, but staffed Monday to Friday by full-time members of staff, but also current students who are our Hive mentors. And they're available to answer any queries that you might have. So, if you just want a quick chat or there's something you need to check, maybe even in terms of your visa, we have dedicated international student support advisors who can support you once you arrive here on campus. Then that's the place to go. It's kind of the one-stop shop for student support. And the picture just above that is a lovely brand new space here on the campus called our My Surrey Nest, and that is a work-free zone. So it's somewhere you can come just to have a bit of time out, catch up with friends, maybe just put your headphones in, have a little nap even in between some very intense classes that you might be having that day, and just be able to enjoy a little bit of time out from everything. Again, we have lots of other lovely social spaces on the campus, but I would say that those two, aside from the lake, of course, are definitely my favourite. And we have a doctor's surgery on campus, and we also have a centre for wellbeing, so a place where you can go for any one-to-one entirely confidential support. Whether you're just feeling a little bit homesick, whether you're feeling a little bit stressed, we have people here to help you, and it's just a case of asking for that help. On the academic side, you'll be assigned a personal tutor, so they'll not only be there for your pastoral support, but of course, to help with any queries when it comes to things such as selecting modules, any advice that you might need. And I mentioned earlier about the 24-hour security, but we also have a warden team on the campus. So in fact, some of my colleagues are wardens. They are full-time members of staff in other departments at the university, but they live on the campus with their families, and they are available. And there's always a rota system so that if you do need to speak to anyone, if during exam season one of your flatmates is playing really loud music, or there's been any slight disagreements between some people in the flat, the wardens can just come in, intervene, have a quick chat, and are really there to help you feel as safe as possible and really help you to settle in. We appreciate it's a huge transition, and so all of the support is available for you. And of course, our wonderful chaplaincy team too. So we have a team of 17 chaplains of 11 different faiths. We have prayer room quiet centres on campus, as well as obviously the cathedral, and we work with lots of local churches in Guildford too. So if you would like to access any faith spiritual support, again, it's just a case of reaching out. People are really, really there to help you. And the clubs and societies, it's not all hard work. There's lots of fun to get involved with. Of course, if you're in a sports team, you'll be able to take advantage of our wonderful Surrey Sports Park. But on the societies aspect, we have lots of different cultural societies. We have societies for so many unique interests, anime, Harry Potter, all sorts of different things, baking, photography. Anything that you'd like to get involved with, whether it's something that you've done for years, whether you would be completely new to it as a sport or as a hobby, please do just give it a try out and get involved. During the first week, you'll be able to attend a freshers fair, and that's when you can go along and find out about all of the different clubs and societies. and our sports park. Again, I spoke about the swimming pool earlier, fantastic facilities, but we have lots of different membership packages available depending on how much or how little you'd like to access in terms of the facilities, and the climbing centre in particular is great fun. So last but by no means least, just a couple of quick updates and then we will come on to your questions. So what should you expect in September if you're planning to join us for 2021 entry? Well, we're going to have a mix of online and face-to-face delivery. So even though currently all restrictions have been lifted in the UK, our current risk assessments at the university have shown that we personally would like to continue with social distancing. Of course, if this changes at any point, I will of course, let you know. Any offer holders will be communicated with immediately. But that means that, face-to-face teaching can happen and has been happening for, throughout even the most recent lockdowns, because we understand that face-to-face is such an important part. And particularly, if you are thinking about biosciences, rest assured you will be in labs. There is no replacement for the skills that you need to obtain in terms of doing those physical experiments in the laboratories. So those tutorials, the workshops, practical sessions, all going ahead face-to-face. But for our lectures that would normally, be a cohort of maybe 50 to 200 plus students, the feedback from students has been that they prefer having an online offering for those. And so because of that, that's why we're planning to continue with some pre-recorded content, but we're not just putting on, a 3-hour recording of a lecture. Instead, the academics are breaking that content down, making far more interactive videos that of course you then have access to throughout your time with us. So when it comes to revision, and we have 2 exam periods in the academic year here at Surrey, you have all of that content. You don't have to trawl back through your notes that you're frantically, trying to take down. And during the lecture, you can pause, you can rewind, and then of course you can always follow up on a one-to-one basis with your academic. And lots of content is available on our virtual learning environment as well. Those sessions that are going ahead face-to-face, again, a lot of that will be recorded so that it's captured content for you to be able to look back at a later stage, in addition to all of the other resources that you can access. But we are really looking forward to welcoming you this September. We will, depending on how things go in terms of the traffic light system, if South Africa moves to an amber list country, you would be able to come and quarantine in the university accommodation. If you need to complete your quarantine at the hotels at the airport, again, we'll come and meet you as soon as that's completed, and we'd offer that free shuttle to the university from either Gatwick or Heathrow Airport. And we'll be running an international orientation. It'll be both in person and online. We appreciate a lot of people might be self-isolating and might not be able to travel for another couple of weeks. And it'll run through things such as how to set up a bank account in the UK, how to adapt to life here in Guildford, help you to get to know the local area, find the really important parts of the campus. And again, if any of you are thinking of joining last minute, just let me know, and I'll be really happy to talk to you about all of that opportunities. Well, that is it from me. I think I've rambled on long enough now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found that interesting and informative, and I'm really looking forward to taking your questions. Please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. What I would say is, if you're only now even starting to think about university options, maybe it wouldn't be for another few years, have a look at universities and follow them on social media, and also their students' union. It's a really great way to sort of find out what the atmosphere of a university is like, find out about the different events that they run, find out what the students are up to. And of course, if you know anyone who's in the UK already, speak to them about their experience. That first-hand experience is so important. So George, how are we getting on in terms of the chat? Have we had any questions come in at all?
And yeah, just wanted to say thank you very much for that. I really enjoyed your presentation, and knowing that this presentation is going to go to a wide range of students, I think you covered everything beautifully and eloquently in this presentation. I wanted to ask you a couple of specific questions that a couple of our counsellors and school counsellors have asked for this webinar and for the University of Surrey. How does Surrey look after a biomedical student, for example, that's looking to get into some practice post-studies? how does the career team sort of guide them and work with them? It's just a case of that student calling up and having a brief discussion. Could you just go a little bit more into that if you don't mind?
Yeah, of course. Great question. Thank you, George. So our career support really does start from day one. So as I mentioned earlier on, there is that placement year opportunity, and it's incredibly flexible if students don't apply for the placement year, but during year one or year two of their degree think, actually, yeah, I'd really like to get that experience on my CV, they can add it in. Or similarly, if they have the placement year but have a change of heart and think, I want to graduate as soon as possible and I want to get a full-time job, and really advance my career as quickly as I can, then they can simply remove the placement year. And our career support is specific to our Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences. So we have trained careers advisors for our School of Biosciences who have supported current students and graduates for many, many years and are aware of the particular requirements. So when I touched on earlier about the accreditation, in terms of ensuring that they're applying for roles where it's asking for that Institute of Biomedical Scientists accreditation, our Surrey students already have that advantage. They're able to let them know about those opportunities, and they are also actively inviting employers onto the campus. So we've had companies such as GSK come to campus and run employer events, and that's happened even during the lockdown. Of course, it's had to be virtual, but they have run sort of, mock interviews. They have run taster days for an assessment centre would be like if you're applying to their organisation. And of course, it's a great networking opportunity for our students as well. They're meeting professionals at those companies, either through the employer-specific events or the fairs that we run as well. So each year, there's always two, university-wide employment fairs. And then in addition to that, the departments have their own careers fairs as well. So, if a student is really interested on the data side of things, they might want to go along to our technology fair and look at how they would be applying the statistics and the data analysis skill they've learned from all of their time, analysing the data in the labs to apply for data analyst positions. And again, that's, a really great career opportunity for someone in biomedical science. Some of our students, after being in a lab for 3 or 4 years, decide that's great experience, but now I want to have, a change. And our careers advisors can support them with that. And the other thing that they do, George, is they not only support them during their time here, and of course, if they're, successful in securing a placement, we'll keep in contact with them to make sure that they know how to add all of that really valuable experience to their CV, how to word it correctly, and to make sure that they're talking about it on their LinkedIn profile, etc. But they will offer one-to-one support for 3 years after they graduate as well. So whether they stay in the UK, whether they go and work overseas, they will have that one-to-one career support continue for 3 years afterwards. And actually, they will still have lifetime access to our employability portal, which is called our Surrey Pathfinder. And that's where there's a host of different resources. So, videos and even video software for them to practice their own mock interviews. So as painful as that may seem in terms of watching yourself back answering interview questions, and we have all of that available to them. They're on that same portal, there's a booking system for them to make those one-to-one appointments with a careers advisor in their particular school, so in their School of Biosciences. That could be a video call such as we're doing right now. It could be face-to-face phone conversation, however the student feels most comfortable, of course, and whatever's the most convenient. And they can have multiple meetings throughout a semester. It could be a more general guidance session. It could be very specific, maybe they've got a fantastic interview coming up, but they just want to build their confidence and have a practice. That can be arranged. Maybe they want someone to look over their written documents for an application. And again, because our careers advisors are so specific to the industry, they will be able to advise on how best to structure a CV where, lab skills are the most important factor. So they'll be able to, advise all of that information versus someone who's in law and would need to set out their application in obviously a very, very different way. So yeah, lots of support available. And as I say, it starts very much from the word go, whether it's just that they want to try and get some internships, whether they want a part-time job in Guildford, they have access to that, not only when they're with us, but after they leave as well.
It always makes me think of how much I didn't really take advantage of that career counseling element at university. And especially now, it's been a long time since I studied, but look at the competitive edge that you need to be able to get a good job now. So to any student listening in on this, please do listen to Annie and take advantage of those services and options.
Definitely. I mean, I think it's a booming sector, and particularly post-COVID, I think there are some fantastic opportunities in bioscience. I think research will only be growing over the coming years, but it is a competitive field. And as you say, George, careers advice on an individual level is very expensive. When you have it for free here at the university, please do make the most of it. Absolutely.
One question that I've got for students, and something I talk when I counsel students, is the location. It's not just about the university, what's around it and what's life like there. Do you have any tips in Surrey that students should be aware of? Any good recommendations for them?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I've lived in Guildford for 8 years now. I came to study at Surrey and loved it so much I just never left. It's a really nice mix of that. I mean, Guildford is not technically a city, although it does have a cathedral. It's just a large town, but it has that sort of large town, small city vibe, with also the countryside being on your doorstep. So we are right next to the Surrey Hills here in Guildford, and it is a fantastic place to be able to go for a walk and see the most magnificent scenery. But I would also recommend walking along the river in the town centre. So it's called the River Way, W-E-Y. You can walk from Guildford to the next town along, which is Godalming. It's a lovely route along the river. There are lots of pubs along the way. So if you need to stop, get some refreshments, and definitely make the most of that. And then the positive is it's only about 4 minutes to get the train back. So you can have your exercise walking there, but then you can hop on the train and rest your weary legs afterwards as well. And actually, when you're on that route, you'll see quite a few of the business parks, the research parks, where a lot of those bioscience companies are based as well. So it's a really good way to sort of see the local area, and there's so much countryside, but actually a lot of industry as well.
Great. Annie, one question that's come through here was, what are the type of grades that students should be aware of from Zimbabwe and South Africa? So I think Zimbabwe is more the O-level, A-level system. South Africa, you've got the range of IB, the matric, and as well as A-level. Do you have a guide of what should be a baseline that they should be looking at this stage?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of the matric, as I say, normally sort of a combination of 6s and 5s is what we'd be looking for. And we're always very, very happy to consider applicants from IEB as well. That's absolutely fine. When it comes to the International Baccalaureate, again, very, very happy to accept that. Ideally for biosciences, we'd be looking for your sciences to be at higher level. If only one is at higher level, but then you still have a really strong grade in your maths standard level, again, that conversation would very much remain open, and I'd be really happy to talk to you about that on an individual basis. But as a general guide, I would say we'd be looking at sort of between 31 to 33 points in the IB. The vast majority would ask for 32. Sometimes we can be looking at 31. But actually, if you're a little bit under in terms of what we'd be looking at, maybe it's more sort of 29 or 30, we have a great foundation year option. It's aimed at UK students, the foundation year, but as an international applicant, you would still be eligible, and it's not where you're going to be learning English language. You're going to be learning lab skills, preparing you for that degree in bioscience, but just having that intensive science content, and that, maybe you just didn't quite get to the level that you were hoping for. And so again, that might just be another option for people to consider. It's sort of a general bioscience foundation year linked to all of those pathway degrees of food science, microbiology, etc. And then lastly, in terms of the A levels, so Zimbabwe, again, very happy to accept international Cambridge A levels, O levels, not a problem whatsoever. We'd always be looking for 3 A levels, and for biosciences, 2 would usually need to be science programs. Generally, all of them would ask for biology. Most would be looking for chemistry as a second subject. but there's flexibility there. Sometimes it can be math, sometimes it can be physics, psychology as well. So, you know, any specifics that you'd like to check with me, please do get in contact. In terms of the grades, we normally look for 3 Bs at A level. So, you know, BBB to BBC is sort of roughly what we would be looking for, either for clearing issue or for that next application cycle as well. For the Masters in Science, it can sometimes be slightly higher, but for any of those BSc applications, it would be 3 Bs. Or if your predictions are closer to 3 Cs, again, that's where that foundation year option might come in really handy for you.
Great, thank you, Annie. Does anybody have any more questions? Please feel free to put them in the chat box or in the Q&A section. I know I'm getting some on WhatsApp and email and all of that, so please don't be shy. Annie, you've got one question here from the team again here. And the question is, if students haven't had a vaccination from South Africa or Zimbabwe and they're going to the UK, are they able to get a vaccination in the UK? And do you have any information that you can share on that?
Absolutely, yes. So currently, as things stand, it would not be compulsory to have had a vaccination in order to travel on a student visa. So whether you've not had either dose or whether you've only had one at the point at which you travel to the UK, that's absolutely fine. When you make your visa application, that of course Global will support you with, you pay something called an immigration health surcharge. And essentially that fee that you pay, it enables you to access free NHS healthcare throughout the time of your degree programme with us here at University of Surrey. As I mentioned, we've got a GP doctor's surgery on campus, so it's nice and convenient, but there are lots of other surgeries in the local area as well as a hospital, but of course, hopefully that won't be necessary. One of the first things I'd always encourage you to do, and this is something that we talk through in our international orientation, for example, is register with a GP, so a doctor, when you arrive here in the UK. And that would then affiliate you to a particular doctor's surgery, and that would then be the main surgery where if you wanted an appointment or, you know, even if you're needing to have any medication on repeat prescriptions, again, once you've registered with the doctor, you'd then be eligible for all of those services. And we now have an NHS app in this country that you can download. And once you've registered with the doctor, you'll be given an NHS number, and that'll have your electronic medical records that again you could access either through contacting the GP surgery or looking on the app. And as soon as that registration is complete with a doctor, so as soon as you're set up fully on the NHS here at the university or elsewhere in Guildford, you would be eligible to book your COVID vaccinations provided you're over the age of 18, which I'm presuming the vast majority of students travelling, particularly by September, October would be. If not, it will be a case of waiting until you're 18 to be able to register for the vaccine. But you would then be able to register for both doses. So currently it's an 8-week wait between dose 1 and dose 2 here in the UK. If, as I mentioned, you'd had one dose, but not your second at the point at which you travel to the university, what would then happen is you'd be able to provide that information when you register with the doctor, and the doctor would have a conversation with you about the type of vaccine that you'd had in South Africa or Zimbabwe. And if it's one that we administer here in the UK, it's obviously highly likely that it would be that same vaccine that you receive for your second dose. If it's one that we're not currently administering in the UK, please don't worry. What they would do is the medical professional would have a conversation with you about which vaccine would be most similar and which in their professional opinion they believe would be the most effective as a second dose. So you would still be able to get both doses of your vaccine overall. So please don't feel as though you have to turn down the offer of a vaccine if you're not going to be able to have both before you travel. As I say, they will work with you on a one-to-one level to work out which one would be most appropriate for you. And then when it comes to the testing element, again, we have an asymptomatic test site here on the university, so it's free of charge. Just go in, either get a set of test kits to bring back to your accommodation, or to go in and actually do it there on the campus, and then those labs are being used to quickly give results in terms of the tests. So that is really just helping to make sure it has, everyone is feeling as safe as possible in the community, and just that regular testing is something that we're still advising at the moment. Of course, if that changes come September, we'll make sure that students are very well aware as to what is or isn't required of them. But certainly on the vaccination side, no students will be asked to pay for the vaccine when they arrive in the UK. If someone, says that's the case, it's a scam. Please do not accept it. And once you've paid your immigration health surcharge, there would be no additional cost for accessing treatment once you're here, and that would include the vaccine, if you so wish. And there have been lots of places here in Guildford that have been administering the vaccine. So, I'd hope that there'd be plenty of appointments available for you to be able to register for that as soon as you're here.
Brilliant. Annie, I'd like to thank you very much for your time. I think it's a Friday evening in South Africa now, so we're going to let people go and enjoy their evening. And again, thank you. And for everybody that's watching in and will be receiving this content, we are sharing it through our YouTube channels and website, and will be coming through on the global newsletter. So please do click that subscribe button when you do get it, and get all the updated information as well. Annie, any last words from you? And I'll let you close it off.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for having me, George. It's been a pleasure. And yes, I hope everyone has a lovely Friday evening and weekend ahead. And if there's anything you need, we're here to help. Get in contact, ask away on those questions, and just, a big thank you from me for having that resilience in what's a very, very difficult year to still be considering such an exciting but understandably daunting opportunity of coming over to the UK. So if we can help that transition in any way, please do get in contact. And yeah, thanks so much for listening. Enjoy, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you all again soon. Take care.
Good evening, everybody. Have a good night.